Hello everybody and welcome to Parker's Pitstop on SimNews.TV. Today I have a man who is in charge of one of the biggest leagues and one of the most unique leagues I'd say in sim racing. That is GPWC, and that man is William Ponissi. Say hello.
Hello Tom, hello everybody.
Obviously, Will, like I said, you are in charge of GPWC and you have been for quite a few years now. When and where did it all begin for you for sim racing?
Well, running the league happened pretty much by accident. I just started. Um, I won't say in a serious way, because if you've ever seen me sim race, you know I cannot be serious with me behind the wheel. But I joined my first organized sim racing league was GPWC in 2002 for the season. And when the league management shut the league in 2003, I was one of the few that was actually interested in running it and keeping it going. So because I've been very involved, I didn't really branch out with my team or myself into any other league. So there was my sim racing home. I didn't want to go under. So I took it over. There was sort of two races into the 2003 season, and well, it's been going on ever since. Obviously, with other people at first, and by creating structures and organizations to run the league since. But yeah, it's been going on since that more than a decade ago, so quite a long time.
Yeah, so I mean, like I said, been 15 years nearly next year, so that's quite a long time to be in charge of a league, and I think one of the longest must be in sim racing history. So, well done on that. Well done for not quitting and giving up, as I imagine some people would have done. Now, as a few people in the sim racing community know, you do work out of Formula One team. I won't say which one, just in case you don't want to say. But how do you balance that and running the league? As I can imagine it'd be pretty damn difficult doing that.
Um, it's got its pros and cons. I mean, I don't mind. It's Force India, and we're very happily doing a very good job as well in real racing. It's got its pros and cons. Obviously, as a big con is the time. I'm away on racing a lot of the time, and even when we're back at the factory, it's long hours. It's a lot of involvement and a lot of energies. So that sometimes leaves not a lot of time for the league. How do you manage? It's mostly through the incredible staff we've got at GPWC. We've got people that run pretty much every department of the league, whether I'm not there or whether I'm there. We've got Chris in charge of the competition department. We've got Mike and Thomas managing media. We've got great staff running the disciplinary committee. We've got Rick that's been working tirelessly on graphics, and we've got way too many people to mention them helping out, doing lab checking, protest checking, broadcast cameras, and without those people, it would absolutely not be possible to run the league. Even if I was there for 24 hours, it's just no longer a one-man job. No matter how automated we can make the sort of back office, no matter how um, we can sort of cut corners if you want in certain areas, if you had to, it still wouldn't be possible to run it as one person. So we say that, yeah, I do run the league, I do own the league if you want, but it is a teamwork, and it wouldn't be possible without all these other people. Now, on the other hand, being in a Formula One team gives me an insight how a team works, the dynamics, especially working in a team which is not as huge as others. A fairly small team at Force India, and this allows me to get to know, what all the departments do, what the people in certain departments do, and I try, obviously, within the limits of what is possible and without deliberately making it too complex, to sort of include some of the stuff that I see every day in my daily job into the simulation that we create at GPWC. Stuff like the marketing department, management, of the race pace, and a lot of other different factors that we've tried to include into the our game are taken straight out of the real life experience. And sometimes you cannot include it because there's limitations of what the game in the simulator allows you to do. Some of aspects that wouldn't necessarily translate into an enjoyable experience when sim racing, or it's just like boring or too complex. But having the insight within a Formula One team allows me to sort of figure out what's going on and sort of pick and cherry pick, if you want, the parts that I think could be included into our simulation on GPWC, and hopefully make it a more realistic and comprehensive way of experiencing sim racing.
Well, I mean, like you said, I mean, it's you being in a Formula One team really, I can imagine, would really help you knowing how it runs, and so obviously taking that into GPWC has made it into quite. I mean, it did. I mean, like you said, it took a few years for it to get really big, but in the last couple of years, it really has exploded into life. Moving to rFactor 2, obviously last year, was quite a big step for the simulation. Obviously, I know a couple of leagues went there first, but obviously we tried and tested it out first, and I think it's definitely the right time to move over last year. Getting into the actual managing side of things in teams, you are a manager of Super League team Nordsjoen Racing, who are the reigning champions in terms of drivers and constructors, if I'm correct. So
You are.
we are. So there we go. So I think this is your 5th title. I think. Am I correct in saying that?
It is the 4th.
4th. I'll give you too much credit. Too much credit, Will. But yeah. So obviously.
I won't say that is, but we're very happy with where we are.
Yeah. So 4th title.
Yep.
Yeah. So your 4th title. How much input do you have into that? Obviously, like I said, you're a very busy person. Do you talk to David, Fidok, and Florian Guy, who are your drivers this year? David Fidok being the reigning champion. How much input do you have with them? Do you talk to them a lot, or do you just let them get on with it?
I do talk to them a lot, if only because they wouldn't let me in peace otherwise. They're obviously testing a lot, and they keep sending me updates. And even though I may not react immediately to them, I do read everything they say. I let them pretty much go on with the work. It's the same sort of hands-off approach that I have sometimes with the league itself. I trust the people that are put in place to do certain jobs, and I trust their enthusiasm and their knowledge, and I only step in if my direct input is required. And I think it's the same that I do with the team. I've described, and I give input to the drivers in terms of what we can do in terms of development, in terms of engine development as well with Martex. I set the guidelines, but then they are the guys who are actually in the car. They are the guys who are tasked with bringing the results at the end of the day. And if they tell me that according to their testing, their favored development direction is one, I'll follow that and I'll discuss it with them. But so far it's been working well in this way.
Yeah, absolutely, and obviously that was proven last year. I mean, I know over the summer break, a lot of work was put into the setup, etc. Over the 2016 season. He ended up winning the title at the end. It was very close, and I'm going to move on to that controversy now, obviously with Adonis. As a league manager, of the league owner, sorry, and as a manager of a team who was directly involved, did you have any decision in the Adonis controversy last year, or was it literally down to Chris, down to, like I said, the all-level staff because of your involvement, or did you have some say in it?
Yeah, of course. I mean, being in the situation in which I wear 2 hats, I'm league owner and the owner of a team. It can create some situation in which you're perceived to be in a conflict of interest. And I mean, I try myself as much as I can, and as much as obviously I try to run the league in the best way. I try to be as impartial as possible, no matter what the teams are involved. It's normal that you create interpersonal relationship, with people. You try that not to influence the decisions you take, and the moment in which any decision is taken, that that transcends who you're punishing, who you're favoring in that specific case. So from that perspective, I look back at what happened at the end of last year, and it was controversial. I don't disagree, but I look back at it and I know it was the only decision we really had. It wasn't my decision only. I may have appeared to be the one handing out the decision, simply because it was a decision of such magnitude that sort of had to come back and be sort of coming from the highest echelon. But it was I don't take any decision at any level myself. They're always discussed within management groups. They're always discussed and voted, and sometimes they go the way I want, sometimes they go the way I don't want. But that's my vote doesn't weigh any more than the votes of the other people's in the management group. And not all decisions are unanimous, and there was a lot of people also internally that disagree with that. But in the end, it was a difficult decision we necessarily didn't want to have to take. If the situation had not emerged, we've been very happy, as a league for a great season, coming out to the wire, last race, both championship, would have been amazing. Unfortunately, the situation happened, and the moment it happens, you have to take a decision, any which way. And I've heard people coming to me and say like, yeah, but given your position, you should have just let it slide. And it's like, if there's some rulings and if those rulings are not upheld, I can't possibly let it slide. And what I'm always saying is that, like, had it been the other way around, had it been that the on-track result had gone in the opposite way, favoring a specific team, favoring a specific driver, and then we had discovered that, and what would have done next, and what the reaction would have been if no action had been taken. Obviously, there would have been a massive uproar. So you have to sort of detach yourself from the who's getting, the advantage from this situation, who's getting disadvantage, and just try and analyze it, and from a purely cold-blooded, rational point of view. And I think still, looking back at it, it was not an easy decision. It was a very difficult moment for the league as well, because nobody wants to, decide effectively the outcome of a championship, at the, in the stewards' room. But it was the only way that possibly we could have acted. And I think that now that all these spirits have cooled down, and you look back at it, I think it was sort of the only decision that possibly could have been taken and would have ensured the continuous functioning as well of the league.
Well, so I think that's very honest and very, very good explanation of why things panned out as they did last year. I mean, it was, like you said, very controversial. The league, I think it did take a hit in the personal eye, in the public eye of the sim racing community, but I think we've managed to build ourselves back up. I mean, this year we've got a very good title fight going on at the moment. I know Rudy is sort of running away with it a little bit, but I mean, the races are close. We've not had the same winner every race, and I think that's what's good about the league. In terms of that, we have managed to build ourselves back up. We have managed to have some good racing this year, and it hasn't really put people off. So I don't think, obviously, like you said, you did a very good job in terms of not attaching yourself to Nords, saying, "Well, I know I'm in charge of Nords, I should do this." I think you did a really good job, and I think people should be able to respect that. I mean, I know a lot of people weren't happy with your decision. I know some people quit, some people weren't happy, like you said, but I think you did make the right decision in the end, personally. Obviously, my opinion is my own, blah blah blah. But I think you did do the right decision, and like I said, the league has come on further. So I mean, fair play to you. In terms of your driving career, obviously you said earlier you're not the best sim racer in the world. You might say it yourself. Do you have any more future plans for that, or do you think that's done with now?
I sometimes think about it, and I would like to get back into driving, if only because, I mean, everyone who's involved in sim racing is very passionate about driving and racing, and the feeling of certain wheel-to-wheel battles that I've had in the past. It's hard to match. It's so amazing. At the same time, you have also to take into account that the league nowadays has moved on a lot since the times I was driving. The quality of the drivers is absolutely amazing, and you know, even levels which you would have gone away with, 5 years ago, nowadays won't even get you close to the last row of the grid. So knowing my time, the time I've got, and the amount of practice that is required to be not even a front runner, but just doing an honest job in the midfield or even at the back, I don't think you'll see me driving competitively anytime soon. But I look back at my statistics. I've done 83 races, and I've been through a lot of eras in our racing. We've been through, I was racing on GP. I think it was GP 3 already. Back in the day, and we went through GP4 and all the online era, and I've had some great times and some great memories and some great battles that I still remember like it was yesterday. So I'm pretty happy with how my racing career has done, and I think probably have a bit more to give as a team manager.
Well, fair enough. I mean, maybe one day, fingers crossed, we'll see Will Ponissi back on the grid. Who knows? He might even be on the Super League grid, so who knows? But yeah, one day maybe. In terms of the league, obviously, like I said, you are the owner. Are there any future plans for the league that you might be able to let us in on, or is it too early in the year to think about that?
Well, it's never too early, and there's a lot of stuff that we've discussed also in the past that we simply for a reason or another we haven't been able to implement yet. Be it because it was too complex, or be it because we didn't finalize it in time, or simply because we want to sort of phase in it gradually over the years. But there's plenty of time to introduce, and there's plenty of ideas that we have got for the future. I think it's very important for a league our size not to step longer than the actual leg. Sorry, if you can cut this because that's a very Italian way of saying. It's very important for a league our size not to bite off more than we can chew. There's takes a lot of people to run a league as we are at the moment, and we've got a lot of great people that are working on league at the moment. But if we want to take the next step, if we want to continue even doing what we're doing already, we need more people, and it's increasingly difficult to find personnel that can put enthusiasm and the time and the energy into working for the league. I know that we're struggling to find positions. We're struggling to, find all the people we need, and I don't want to push on too much, only to see it fail, 6 months down the line. I think it's my responsibility to make sure that we can only proceed at the speed and at the pace that is sustainable for the future. We've had a very long run. I mean, the league itself started in 2000. It was run by one person back then, and now we've got tens of people that are in one role or another involved. But unless we can involve more people into running the league, into getting the position, doing some of the work, we have to be very careful with introducing a lot of new stuff.
Lovely. So, I mean, obviously, hopefully, fingers crossed, there are all more plans for the future. But obviously, like I said, taking off a button a bit more often you can chew can be detrimental to a league's health. Could you see the league maybe going to iRacing or other sims in the future? Obviously, we moved to off-after 2 last year, so you don't want to jump too quickly. But could you see another sim like iRacing or maybe in Race Room, etc., coming into the fray, or not for now?
That's a discussion that we have fairly often, and we're always on the lookout for the next step, because we always want to deliver a racing experience and a gaming experience overall that's at the forefront of what people can offer. We have also to take into account that for the career ladder, at least, there's some very stringent requirements about what we can do in terms of the mod, in terms of the upgrade system, which is also one of the reasons why we sort of had to wait a little bit to get onto our Factor 2. We have to make sure that all the structures that we've created to allow for our gaming, simulation to happen can be ported over to a new platform, a new game, and still work. Obviously, there's always a certain degree of tweaking involved. We can do, but I'm looking at iRacing. It's a fantastic simulation. It's an incredible community, some great standard of racing at the highest levels. But at the same time, it's got some um, restrictions that would make, say, the career ladder very, very difficult to run, if not impossible outright. Now, that doesn't mean that we're never going to explore that, or that we're never going to, move over for some serious to that. But it is something that we can, we have to study before we take the plunge. And at the same time, we have to consider, as I was saying earlier, the amount of staff and the amount of people that we can devote to certain projects, because at the moment we are running on levels of staffing that are perhaps not at the level that would allow that to happen.
So, I mean, it's good that you have an interest in going into iRacing one day. Obviously, people say it is, like I said, a lot of people go there for the prestige, maybe for the money side of it. Obviously, we at GBWC don't really look into that side too much. I would say it's one of the better leagues in terms of accessibility, which is good because that means people can just jump into a race. Obviously, for Formula Challenge, I know you have to pay £1 for a license, and that's for the year. I mean, £1 license, bang, there you are. You can do some Formula Challenge races. It's really, really good. And like I said, our progression, the way that the league works in terms of the uniqueness, in terms of like the upgrade system. iRacing, I don't think, off the top of my head, has that ability at the moment. Like you said, we did take a long time to go to R-Factor 2, but you did the research, you made sure it was the right time to do it, and I think we timed it pretty well, actually. So, I mean, I think the league can be kind of, like, applauded on that part. In terms of other leagues, I think that's my last question, because it's been quite a long interview, this one. Do you take any inspiration from other leagues that you could use for GBWC? Maybe, for example, Formula Sim Racing, BVTCC example, other sim races series that you think, oh, that might be a good idea in GBWC, or do you like to think of your own ideas and maybe they could copy them, for example?
Well, I wouldn't say that I look at other leagues and take direct ideas from there, but one of the beautiful things about the sim racing scene is that there's space for everybody, and there's a lot of different flavors. We always try to be slightly different from the vast majority of the leagues that will get you like some car or like equal or parity of performance. And we try to come up with something different. But you mentioned some of the leagues, and there's many others that are doing an excellent job out there. Each league has got some strong points, some weak points. Some do great broadcasts, some do great protests and appeals and take care of the quality of racing fantastically. And rather than just taking the ideas, I think you can get the inspiration. You can aspire to do every specific part as good as they do. I like to think that at GPOC we do something, some of these aspects the best. And I like to think that some people may be looking at us and they're like, you know what, they do this really, really well. Just as we look at them and say like, God, they are really, really good at this specific bit. So I mean, I think it's not just a matter of plagiarizing, but you like in any business, you look at the other people that are in the market, and without being a direct rivalry, because sim racing, the beautiful thing is that there's space for everybody and there's space for every kind of option and flavor and kind of racing. You can look at them and say like, you know what, why are they doing this specific part better than we do, and how can we improve it to get to their level or beyond? And I think that is just a very honest assessment of what you're doing and what the others are doing, in your pursuit of excellence, which is what we're trying to do. Obviously, we know we've got limited resources. We know we can only do so much, but everything we do, we try to make it the best. And if we're not achieving the levels that we want to be at, that means we have to do something different, something better to get to where we want to be.
Absolutely, and like I said, I think that's one of the beautiful things about sim racing is there is a place for everybody, whether you're serious, super serious about it, or just literally as your hobby once a week, twice a week, you can just jump into somewhere. And I think at GVWC we are quite good at that. We have a race every Thursday, obviously World GT, Super League, or maybe not the seasoned veteran would be interested in Formula Challenge, for example, but then the beginner may be interested in Formula Challenge. I mean, we dropped the Open Series this year because that did. I mean, I think it did serve its purpose, and we moved on to Formula Challenge, and now, like you said, the talent has really improved. But then you look at FSR, for example, I think maybe the more dedicated person would be involved in that, and that's maybe what they're interested in. But like I said, sim racing, one for all, come along, everybody. I think everybody would enjoy it. I think we'll stop there. Thank you very much, Will. It's been a very, 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 very good insight into your life as a not just a league manager, as a league owner, as a Formula One worker. It's been brilliant. So thank you very much.
Oh, thanks, Tom, for having me here.
That's no problem. This has been Parker's Pit Stop. I'm Tom Parker. This will be out on Monday, and we'll see you again in 2 weeks. See you later. Goodbye.